God, help not to be overwhelmed with my daily life away from your presence. There are days when life doesn't feel dramatic, just heavy. Nothing catastrophic happened. No crisis, no breaking news, no major failure. And yet, by mid-morning, your chest already feels tight. Your thoughts are racing ahead of you. Your responsibilities seem louder than your faith. You love God. You believe He is good. But somewhere between deadlines and dishes, traffic and texts, expectations and exhaustion, you start functioning without awareness of Him. Not because you stopped caring, but because you got busy surviving. And survival is loud. You begin solving everything in your own strength. You carry conversations in your head that haven't happened yet. You brace for problems that may never come. You try to hold together what was never meant to rest on your shoulders alone. And slowly, overwhelm replaces peace. Not because God left, but because you drifted into doing life away from His presence. Today is not about adding more to your schedule. It's about returning to the one who carries what you cannot, the weight you were never meant to carry. There is a silent agreement many of us make without realizing it. If I don't hold everything together, everything will fall apart. So you wake up and brace yourself. You review the day in your mind before your feet even touch the floor. You anticipate needs, conversations, obligations. You measure your energy against your calendar and silently hope it will be enough. And if you're honest, most days, it doesn't feel like enough. The pressure isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. A constant hum beneath the surface. A quiet tension in your shoulders. A feeling that you must stay alert, stay responsible, stay strong. Because too much depends on you. But here is a truth your overwhelmed heart needs to hear. Not everything depends on you. Psalm 127 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain." That verse is not an insult to your effort. It is a rescue from self-reliance. Somewhere along the way, responsibility turned into self-dependence. You didn't mean for that to happen. It felt mature. It felt disciplined. It felt necessary. But slowly, you began carrying emotional weights that were never assigned to you. You carry the future in your mind. You carry other people's expectations in your chest. You carry outcomes as if they are your personal burden. And the result is exhaustion. God never asked you to be the source of provision. He never appointed you as the manager of every outcome. He never expected you to sustain your own strength indefinitely. He invited you to walk with Him. Jesus said in John 15, "Apart from me, you can do nothing." That statement isn't harsh. It's freeing. It reminds you that fruitfulness flows from connection, not pressure. Overwhelm grows when you try to do life independently from the very presence designed to sustain you. You were never meant to carry tomorrow's uncertainty in today's hands. You were never meant to solve every relational tension alone. You were never meant to manufacture peace through effort. When you live disconnected from God's presence, even small problems feel massive. Minor setbacks feel personal. Delays feel threatening. Because your inner world has lost its anchor. But when you return to Him, something shifts. The responsibilities may still exist. The schedule may still be full. But the weight feels different. Because it is shared. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Notice the repetition. I will. I will. I will. God never said, "You will carry this alone." The next time your chest tightens under the pressure of daily life, pause and ask yourself a gentle question. Am I carrying something God never asked me to hold? You are responsible for obedience. You are not responsible for outcomes. You are called to faithfulness. You are not called to control. The weight that overwhelms you may not be the tasks themselves. It may be the belief that everything depends on your strength. And that belief is a burden you were never meant to carry. When busyness becomes distance, there is a difference between being busy and being distant. On the outside, your life may look productive. You show up. You complete tasks. You answer messages. You meet expectations. From a distance, it seems like you're handling things well, But inside, something feels off. Not broken, just disconnected. Busyness has a way of numbing awareness. It fills every open space with motion. It keeps your mind occupied and your hands full. And without realizing it, you begin moving through your days without noticing God's nearness. You don't reject him, you just stop paying attention. In Luke 10, Martha welcomed Jesus into her home. That detail matters. She loved him, she honored him. But while Mary sat at his feet, Martha was distracted with much serving. Distracted. Not rebellious, not sinful. Distracted. And distraction slowly turned into frustration. She became overwhelmed, irritated, emotionally stretched thin. And the irony is this: Jesus was physically present in her house, yet she felt burdened and alone. That can happen to you. God can be near, and you can still feel overwhelmed, because presence must be acknowledged to be experienced. Busyness is not automatically wrong. Responsibilities are not your enemy. But when activity replaces intimacy, something inside begins to dry out. You begin operating in your own strength. You rely on your own understanding. You stop pausing long enough to remember that you are not alone. And daily life becomes heavier than it was ever meant to be. Sometimes overwhelm is not caused by too much to do. It is caused by too little connection. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is not about abandoning your schedule. It is about recalibrating your awareness. You can be still in your heart while active in your hands. But if your heart never slows down, if your thoughts never return to Him, if your inner world never reconnects, then busyness becomes distance, and distance makes pressure louder. The solution is not quitting your responsibilities. It is refusing to let them become your center. When you wake up tomorrow, the tasks will still be there. But before you step into them, take one intentional moment. Before the notifications, before the conversations, before the noise. Whisper, "Lord, I don't want to live today away from your presence." That single posture changes everything, because when you move through your day aware of Him, the same tasks feel different. Conversations feel lighter. Interruptions feel manageable. Problems feel shared. Overwhelm grows in isolation. Peace grows in awareness. Busyness does not have to create distance, but you must choose connection on purpose. The anxiety of self-reliance. There is a quiet shift that happens when you stop leaning on God and start leaning on yourself. It doesn't feel dramatic at first. It feels responsible, mature, independent. You tell yourself you're just being proactive. You're just planning ahead. You're just trying to stay on top of things. But beneath that surface strength, anxiety begins to form. Because self-reliance carries a hidden pressure. If you don't handle it, no one will. Proverbs 3:5-6 gently invites you to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That word lean is important. It suggests weight. It suggests dependence. Everyone leans on something. When you lean on your own understanding, your peace rises and falls with your ability to predict and control. When you lean on your own strength, your calm depends on how capable you feel that day. And when you lean on your own planning, every unexpected interruption feels threatening. Self-reliance makes you fragile, because you are not designed to be your own foundation. You were created to depend. Somewhere along the way, dependence became associated with weakness. But in the kingdom of God, dependence is strength. It keeps you aligned with the source of wisdom, provision, and peace. Think about how often your mind runs ahead of you. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You replay conversations that haven't happened. You prepare defenses for conflicts that may never occur. And your body reacts as if those imagined moments are already real. That is the anxiety of self-reliance. You believe you must anticipate everything in order to survive it. But Jesus said in Matthew 6:34, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself." That is not an invitation to irresponsibility. It is an invitation to trust. Tomorrow does not need your mental rehearsal today. When you carry what belongs to tomorrow, you rob today of peace. Self-reliance convinces you that vigilance equals safety. But true safety is found in surrender. God does not ask you to stop planning. He asks you to stop panicking. He does not tell you to ignore reality. He reminds you that he stands above it. When overwhelm rises, ask yourself, am I trusting God, or am I trying to replace him? That question is not condemning, it is clarifying. Because the moment you shift from self-reliance back to God-reliance, something loosens inside you. Your breathing slows, your thoughts soften, your grip relaxes. You remember that you are not the architect of every outcome. You are a child walking with a father, and a child does not carry the weight of the household. The father does. You do not have to manage every possibility. You do not have to secure every future. You do not have to solve every unknown. The anxiety you feel may not be because life is impossible. It may be because you've been trying to live it alone, abiding in the middle of the ordinary. There is a kind of spirituality that only feels strong in quiet places. Early mornings, soft music, open Bibles, moments where nothing interrupts you. But real life rarely stays quiet. Emails come in, children need attention, work demands decisions, traffic tests your patience. And somewhere between the sacred stillness of prayer and the noise of responsibility, you feel the connection thinning, not disappearing, just thinning. In John 15, Jesus says, "Abide in me and I in you." He doesn't limit that invitation to peaceful environments. He doesn't say, "Abide in me when everything is calm." He simply says, "Remain." Abiding is not about location, it is about posture. It is possible to sit in silence and still be distant in heart. And it is possible to move through a crowded day deeply connected to Him. The difference is awareness. When you wake up and consciously anchor yourself in God's presence, you are not checking off a spiritual task. You are plugging your soul into its power source. You are choosing alignment before activity. But abiding doesn't end when your devotional time does. It continues in the ordinary. When you pause before responding to frustration. When you breathe before reacting in anger. When you whisper, "Lord, guide me," in the middle of a difficult decision. These small moments are threads that keep your heart tied to His. Overwhelm grows when your activity increases but your awareness decreases. You start measuring your worth by productivity. You start judging your day by how smoothly it runs. You start feeling anxious when things don't unfold as planned. But when you abide, your identity shifts. You are no longer trying to prove your value. You are living from it. Psalm 16:8 says, "I have set the Lord always before me. Because He is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken." Always. Not occasionally. Not when convenient. Always. That means God is not only present in your quiet prayers, He is present in your conference calls. He is present in your kitchen. He is present in your commute. He is present in your waiting rooms and your long afternoons. Abiding turns ordinary places into sacred ground. And here's the gentle truth. You don't lose peace because your life is full. You lose peace when you forget who is with you in the fullness. You do not need a different schedule to experience calm. You need a deeper connection within the schedule you already have. Instead of asking, "How can I reduce everything?" begin asking, "How can I stay connected in everything?" Abiding does not remove responsibility. It transforms how you carry it. And when you remain in Him, even demanding days begin to feel steady. Not easy, but steady, because you are no longer striving alone. When your mind runs faster than your faith, there are moments when your thoughts move so quickly you can barely keep up with them. You wake up and before your body has fully risen, your mind is already racing. You think about what could go wrong. You think about conversations you need to have. You think about mistakes you made yesterday. You think about everything that hasn't happened yet. And your heart begins to feel the pressure of things that are not even real. Overwhelm often begins in the mind. Your circumstances may not be collapsing, but your thoughts start stacking on top of one another until they feel unbearable. One concern turns into three turn into 10, and suddenly your entire day feels fragile. 2 Corinthians 10:5 tells us to take every thought captive. That sounds strong, but it's actually protective. Because if you don't lead your thoughts, they will lead you. And your thoughts, when untethered from God's truth, will always drift toward fear. Your mind is powerful. It can magnify problems beyond their size. It can replay pain until it feels fresh again. It can imagine scenarios so vividly that your body reacts as if they are happening now. But your mind was never meant to operate apart from God's presence. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." Notice the connection: peace and focus. Peace does not come from having no problems. It comes from having a mind anchored somewhere stable. When your thoughts run faster than your faith, pause. You don't need to argue with every anxious idea. You don't need to solve every possibility. Sometimes you simply need to redirect your focus. Instead of replaying fear, repeat truth. Instead of rehearsing worst-case scenarios, remember who holds the outcome. Instead of asking, "What if this goes wrong?" ask, "What if God is already ahead of this?" Your faith does not eliminate uncertainty. It anchors you in the middle of it. And here is something freeing. Not every thought deserves your agreement. Just because a fear enters your mind does not mean it speaks truth. Just because your heart tightens does not mean disaster is coming. Your emotions are real, but they are not always reliable. When overwhelm begins rising in your thoughts, invite God into that space. Lord, steady my mind. Lord, help me think clearly. Lord, remind me what is true. You do not fight anxiety alone. You align your mind with His presence. The battlefield is often internal, but so is peace. And when your faith becomes louder than your fear, your day may still be busy, but it will not control you. The freedom of letting God be God. There is a subtle pressure that builds when you believe everything depends on you. You feel responsible not only for your actions, but for outcomes. Not only for your obedience, but for results. You start carrying conversations before they happen. You try to manage how others perceive you. You attempt to secure tomorrow with today's effort. And without realizing it, you begin trying to be what only God can be. In your own quiet way, you step into a role that was never assigned to you. You try to be the provider of certainty, the protector of every possibility, the controller of every outcome, and it is exhausting. Psalm 121 says, "I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord." That verse gently reminds you that help is not found in greater control. It is found in lifted eyes. When you let God be God, something shifts inside you. You stop trying to secure what you cannot control. You stop rehearsing every possible future. You stop bracing for impact as if disaster is inevitable. Letting God be God is not passive. It is deeply active trust. It is saying, "I will do what is mine to do, and I will release what is yours." You are responsible for integrity. You are responsible for effort. You are responsible for love and obedience. But you are not responsible for changing hearts. You are not responsible for guaranteeing outcomes. You are not responsible for sustaining the universe. Overwhelm often grows from blurred boundaries. When you carry what belongs to God, your soul feels crushed. But when you release what belongs to Him, your spirit feels lighter. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." That invitation assumes something important. You are carrying burdens. The question is not whether you have them. The question is whether you will keep holding them. Sometimes you cling to control because it feels safer than surrender. If you keep thinking about it, maybe you can prevent it. If you keep worrying about it, maybe you can protect against it. But worry has never secured the future. It has only stolen peace from the present. When you let God be God, you are not denying reality. You are acknowledging authority. You are remembering that He sees what you cannot. He understands what you don't. He is working in ways you cannot measure. You can rest not because everything is resolved, but because everything is under His care. The daily pressures of life do not disappear, but their weight changes when you stop carrying them alone. You do not have to manage the world. You are invited to trust the One who already does. Sometimes you imagine that real spiritual depth requires extraordinary moments, a retreat in the mountains, an uninterrupted hour of silence, a season when life finally slows down. But most of your life does not happen in extraordinary spaces. It happens in routines. Waking up, getting dressed, driving familiar roads, sitting at the same desk, preparing the same meals, folding the same laundry, answering similar questions, and somewhere inside those repeated rhythms, you may quietly wonder, where is God in all of this? The answer is simple yet easy to overlook. He is right there. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord." Whatever you do. Not only the sacred, not only the spiritual, whatever. God does not only dwell in the dramatic, He fills the ordinary. Overwhelm grows when routine feels meaningless. When your daily tasks feel detached from purpose, they begin to feel heavy. You start counting down hours instead of recognizing moments. You start enduring your day instead of inhabiting it. But when you begin seeing your routine as a place of partnership with God, everything shifts. The kitchen becomes a place of gratitude. The commute becomes a place of prayer. The office becomes a place of quiet integrity. The errands become moments of unseen faithfulness. Nothing is wasted when God is invited in. Jesus spent most of His earthly life in ordinary rhythms. Years of hidden work, years of simple obedience, years that were not recorded in headlines or surrounded by crowds. And yet those hidden years were not empty. They were preparation. They were formation. They were faithful. You do not need a spectacular life to live a spiritually grounded one. You need awareness. When you begin your routine tomorrow, instead of asking, "How do I get through this?" try asking, "How can I walk with God through this?" That question alone changes posture. You stop seeing your day as a mountain to climb and begin seeing it as a path to walk, with Him beside you. Overwhelm often whispers that your life is too repetitive, too small, too demanding to be sacred. But God specializes in sacred ordinary. When you fold clothes with a grateful heart, He is there. When you answer emails with patience, He is there. When you choose kindness over irritation, He is there. You do not have to escape your routine to find His presence. You simply have to notice Him within it. And when you do, even the most predictable days begin to feel steady. Not rushed, not frantic, but grounded. Rest for a soul that won't slow down. Your body may sit still, but your soul keeps running. Even when the house grows quiet, even when the workday ends, even when you finally lie down at night, your mind continues moving. Conversations replay, decisions resurface. Unfinished tasks line up in your thoughts like impatient voices. You are physically tired but internally alert. That kind of restlessness is more than fatigue. It is a soul that has forgotten how to be still in God's presence. Psalm 62:1 says, "Truly my soul finds rest in God." Not distraction, not entertainment, not escape. Rest. Rest is not just sleep, it is safety. It is the deep internal exhale that comes when you realize you are not responsible for holding the world together. Overwhelm often lingers because your soul never fully hands the day back to God. You finish your tasks, but you keep carrying the tension. You close your laptop, but you keep holding the weight. You may have ended your activity, but you haven't released your anxiety. Jesus often withdrew to quiet places to pray, not because He was weak, but because He understood something essential. Connection restores clarity. Your soul was not designed for constant stimulation. It was designed for communion. When you live away from God's presence, your inner world never fully settles. There is always something to manage, something to anticipate, something to fear. But when you intentionally pause, even for a few minutes, and say, "Lord, I give this day back to you," something softens. You begin to remember that He is working even when you are not. You begin to accept that your value is not tied to constant productivity. You begin to release the illusion that everything must be resolved before you can rest. Rest is an act of trust. It says, "God, I did what I could today. The rest belongs to you." And that surrender quiets the noise. If your soul feels like it won't slow down, start small. Turn off the unnecessary noise. Step outside for a moment. Take one slow breath and acknowledge His presence. You do not need an hour-long ritual. You need a real moment of release. Father, you are God. I am not. I trust you with what I cannot finish. Overwhelm loses power when your soul learns to rest again, because peace does not come from completing everything. It comes from remembering who holds everything. When you feel like you're failing at faith, there are days when the overwhelm makes you question yourself. You think, if I really trusted God, I wouldn't feel this anxious. If my faith were stronger, I wouldn't feel this tired. If I were spiritually mature, I wouldn't struggle like this. And slowly, pressure turns into shame. You begin to believe that your exhaustion is a spiritual flaw, that your racing thoughts mean you're distant from God, that your overwhelm is proof you're not strong enough. But that is not the voice of your Father. Romans 8:1 says, "There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus." No condemnation. Not for your weakness, not for your humanity, not for the days when you feel stretched thin. Faith is not the absence of struggle. Faith is choosing to return in the middle of it. Even Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane felt deep anguish. Scripture says his soul was overwhelmed with sorrow. He did not deny it. He did not pretend to be untouched by it. He brought it to the Father, and that is faith. Faith does not mean you never feel overwhelmed. It means you do not stay isolated in it. Sometimes you think you have to fix yourself before approaching God. You think you need to calm down first, gather your thoughts first, become spiritually composed first. But God does not require performance. He welcomes honesty. When you feel like you're failing at faith, remember this. Your Father is not grading you. He is guiding you. He knows your frame. He understands your limits. He sees the pressures you carry that no one else notices. Psalm 103 says, "He knows how we are formed. He remembers that we are dust." That is not an insult. It is compassion. You are human. And being human means you will have moments of fear, moments of fatigue, moments of mental overload. Overwhelm does not disqualify you from God's presence. It invites you deeper into it. Instead of saying, "I should be better than this," try saying, "Lord, meet me here." Instead of hiding your anxiety, bring it forward. Instead of judging your weakness, surrender it. Your faith is not measured by how calm you always feel. It is measured by your willingness to turn toward God when you don't. You are not failing. You are learning dependence. And dependence is not weakness in God's kingdom. It is maturity. Living anchored, not overwhelmed. You may not be able to simplify your entire life overnight. The responsibilities may still be waiting tomorrow. The conversations may still need to happen. The expectations may not suddenly disappear. But you can choose how you carry them. There is a difference between living overwhelmed and living anchored. When you are overwhelmed, everything feels urgent. Every interruption feels threatening. Every delay feels personal. You move through your day reacting instead of responding, bracing instead of breathing. But when you are anchored in God's presence, something steadies inside you. The waves may still rise. The schedule may still be full. The demands may still be real. But you are not drifting. Hebrews 6:19 describes hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. An anchor does not remove the storm. It keeps the vessel from being carried away by it. That is what God's presence does for you. When you begin your day connected to Him, you are not guaranteeing a smooth day. You are grounding your heart before the winds start blowing. And that grounding changes your posture. You listen more carefully. You react more gently. You breathe more deeply. Not because you are naturally calm, but because you are consciously connected. Living anchored means you check your heart throughout the day. When anxiety begins rising, you pause. When frustration starts building, you realign. When fear whispers, you counter it with truth. You stop asking, "How do I control everything?" and start asking, "Am I staying connected?" The goal is not perfection. It is awareness. God never asked you to become unshakable on your own. He invites you to remain close to the one who is unshakable. Overwhelm often signals that you have drifted from your anchor. And drifting does not require guilt. It requires return. Return again and again. Return in the morning. Return in the afternoon. Return at night. The more you practice this rhythm, the more natural it becomes. You will still have busy days, but they will not consume you. You will still face pressure, but it will not define you. You will still have moments of stress, but they will not control you, because you are no longer living away from His presence. You are living anchored in it, and an anchored heart can walk through even the fullest life with quiet strength. As you step away from this moment, your responsibilities will still be there. The conversations you've been avoiding may still need to happen. The schedule may still feel full. The pressures may not suddenly dissolve. But you are not leaving the same way you came in, because now you remember something essential. You were never meant to live this life away from God's presence. You do not have to wake up tomorrow and brace yourself. You do not have to carry every outcome in your chest. You do not have to prove your strength by surviving alone. You can return. Return before the day begins. Return when your thoughts start racing. Return when frustration rises. Return when fatigue settles in. Not with dramatic words, not with perfect focus, just with honest awareness. Lord, I need you in this moment. And He will be there. He is not waiting for you at the end of your success. He is walking with you through your process. He is not disappointed in your humanity. He understands your limits. In fact, your limits are where His strength becomes visible. Let your life become a rhythm of returning. When you feel overwhelmed, that is not failure. It is an invitation to shift from self-reliance to surrender, from isolation to communion, from pressure to presence. You may not control your schedule, but you can choose your anchor. You may not remove every responsibility, but you can refuse to carry them alone. If this message strengthened your heart, keep nurturing that awareness daily. Share these words with someone who may be quietly overwhelmed, and continue building a life that is not defined by pressure, but by presence. You are not alone in your daily life, and you never have to walk it away from Him again.